morning. There was a young businessman who was starting out in business, and he rented an office, decorated it beautifully, and he was sitting there and someone walked in the room, so he wanted to look busy. So he picks up the phone and starts handling, buying low, selling high, throwing out big numbers, making huge commitments. After a few minutes, he puts the phone down, looks up at the person in the office and says, yes, sir, can I help you? He says, yes, I came to connect the phone system. We live in a society, in a time, in a material world where it's all flash and no substance. So I'll share with you just a very short story, a story of substance, not so much of content, but one of substance. And it takes place with an 11-year-old boy who was attending a Jewish overnight camp, one of his first camping experiences. He was in a camp called Herzl Camp in Webster, Wisconsin. A Jewish identity camp, not a very religious camp, but very strong Jewish identity, Israel, Zionism. And it was a fun experience. One time on the loudspeaker, it calls everybody together to come to the amphitheater, which is a beautifully wooden stage on the banks of this gorgeous lake, where they used to have services with the guitar on Friday night. And so this 11-year-old kid comes in, sits down with all the other campers, and it's quite a scene. In the front is a person, a man, with a white shirt, black pants, a spaghetti coming down the side of his pants, and a really, really big beard. So this in this 11-year-old's mind, he sees big trees, a big lake, a big beard, a person speaking about big concepts about the Baal Shem Tov and Hasidic stories and about tefillin and Shabbos candles. The whole experience was really quite overwhelming. Just to give a little bit of insight to that story, the 11-year-old boy was me, and the rabbi was Manis Friedman. He had come in Mitzrayim, came for a Sunday afternoon to our camp, it's about 2 hours from Minnesota, from Minneapolis, and spoke about Yiddishkeit, the stories of the Baal Shem Tov. I don't remember a thing he said, not one word of content. But what I do remember was a feeling of empowerment, that somehow as an 11-year-old, self-centered 11-year-old, I walked away from that experience feeling I could do something, I could be a better person, I could be a better kid than I was the day before. So with that kind of inspiration, that kind of empowerment, together with growing up in Sioux City, Iowa, we had a very, very committed, grew up in a very committed Jewish family, synagogue, JCC, Israel Bonds, Federation. It was only natural that my teenage summers were at Camp Ramon, Wisconsin. For the school years, Rabbi Eliezer mentioned, my involvement with USY. When it came time for looking for a college, there were only two criteria. One was a kosher meal plan. Yes, we're not in a mixed company. The other was Jewish girls. Had to be, a nice population there. So that led me to the University of Pennsylvania. When I got the application, there was one application for all the schools at Penn. You had to check off what school you were applying to. So it said the first option was the School of Nursing. I'm a guy from Iowa, I'm not becoming a nurse, so that didn't go. Engineering was too much math. Then it said CGS. I was too lazy to look up what the acronym was, College of General Studies. So by elimination, the Wharton School of Finance is what I ended up checking off, and that's where I went to school. The program at Wharton excelled not only in making what we learned pertinent to the theater of finance, but it impacted every other discipline of life as well. It creates an outlook, a paradigm, where everything in life becomes a Harvard Business School case study, where you break everything down to its components. You see the presented problem, your mission, vision, strengths, competitive environment, the feasibility, the risk-benefit analysis, your solution strategies, what choices you can make, and ultimately execution of the plan. The whole process helped organize a very, very complex world. The next place I saw that kind of analytical model is when I was exposed to Hasidic thought at Lubavitch House at Penn, when the spiritual, psychological interdimension of an individual complex world started to experience some level of organization. So through various educational leadership roles I had in the Jewish community during the college years, it became evident that Jewish education would be the most efficient venue for me to apply Wharton principles to the Jewish community. I figured Judaism is a great product. It's been on the shelf for over 3,000 years. Just needs a little bit of marketing and to make a little easier access for the consumer to connect to it. So after seeing the dedication of my campus shliach, Rabbi Schmidt, I realized there was someone who has thought this through, this Jewish issue, the Jewish marketing issue, has thought it through very, very systematically. It was none other than the Lubavitch Rebbe. The Rebbe articulated the most succinct, cogent, practical, doable plan for the Jewish world I'd ever heard. It was a clear mission, vision, goals, objectives, a strategic plan, funding sources, and the most amazing network of shluchim to execute this plan in the field. This eventually led me to yeshiva in Morristown, New Jersey, then yeshiva in Chabad, led me for learning smicha, for rabbinic ordination, and eventually bringing me back to Philadelphia in the summer of 1991 on shlichus. Now I'm sharing this story this morning for a specific purpose. I ask you not to put this story in the category of the Chabad poster child speech, where a secular kid finds meaning by turning to Chabad. That's true. That's also part of it. But I feel the purpose here is much greater. I think we should all understand that what I'm describing here is not something that should come as a surprise. What I did should not be a surprise. It shouldn't be held up as some extraordinary success. This is exactly what should be happening. To a great extent, my story is your story. My journey is your journey. We share many things, many in this room. We share similar backgrounds. And I think it's exciting to explore how not only is the past history shared, but the present and the future is also shared as well. Many times, when the Rebbe would address the concept of shlichus, the idea of disseminating Torah, of meaning and goodness in the world, the Rebbe spoke how this is the job of everybody. Each and every one of us is a shliach, each and every one of us is an emissary, an agent of Hashem. And there's one Fabrenyan, it was in the fall of 1987, and Rebbe made the observation that the gematria, the numerical value of the word shliach, is 348. The numerical value of the word Mashiach is 358, a difference of only 10. I didn't need to go to Wharton to do that subtraction. That's a difference of 10. So the Rebbe explained, what does that 10 represent? The 10 represents, number one, the 10 faculties of the soul, the 10 keches hanefesh, the dimensions of our neshama. And when we're able to tap into them and to actualize them, it helps us relate to the 10 strata within the Jewish people. So the idea of shlichus, the idea of reaching out, is not only to the outside, it's to the inside. Not only to the inside, it's also to the outside. So yes, there's a designated shliach in every community, because that's the individual designated to make sure we're all following on the right direction. But the businessman should not say, I'll send a check and let the rabbi take care of it. Keep sending a check, and bigger checks as you go along. But understand that Rebbe made this everyone's responsibility. So the same way that we not only strive to balance work and learning Torah and our family, because ultimately we try to bring them together in one synergistic complement of life. So the same way that we can put those things together, we can pursue our financial desires and merge them together with our shlichus, with our outreach work in such a way that they feed off of each other. You and the business community are embedded in the world in a way that the shluchim aren't necessarily embedded. There may be situations where you'll be able to impact and have influence and accomplish things that perhaps in that given situation the shliach isn't able to necessarily have that same access. As lay leaders, you have the opportunity, therefore the schools and the responsibility, to not only see Hashem in your ways, in all of your ways, to let other people in on their little secret as well. To help them also see the divine in all that they do. Every single person in this room is worldly, educated, and successful professionals. Your participation in this event is not because you suddenly woke up one morning, saw the light and said, Rabbi, I need tefillin right away. It didn't happen that way. The same way you intelligently approach all aspects of your life, you came and you're coming to see that Torah, that Chassidus is a way that can help us tap into our essence. So in whatever field of discipline that you operate in, know you're a light unto the nations, including the Jewish nation. So you're a leader empowered by the leader of our generation, the Rebbe, to take that message to those that we connect to. There's a leadership proverb that says, he who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom, has a famous quote where he said the Rebbe was a great leader. He said, good leaders create followers. Great leaders create leaders. So the Rebbe was even excelled in that. He made leaders out of those people that never intended to become leaders. So that means that each and every one of us, if we can allow that blessing into our life, whether we want it or not, whether we like it or not, we're all in that situation of leadership. To conclude with a short anecdote, there was an individual who had just been hired to be the CEO of a new high-tech corporation. And the former CEO was leaving. He was coming in to lead the company. And this former CEO gives him 3 envelopes. And he says, if times ever get really tough, here are the envelopes, envelope 1, 2, and 3. Open them up when times get difficult. He says, fine, no problem. He sails for the first year, everything's going great, then all of a sudden sales take a big dip, taking a lot of heat for us, the head of the company. He doesn't know what's end, doesn't know what to do. He remembers the envelopes. So he opens up envelope number 1, and envelope number 1 says, blame your predecessor. So he calls a press conference, tactfully lays blame at the foot of the former CEO, and sure enough, the press buy it, Wall Street buys it, they start investing, sales go back up. It's terrific. Things are going well, gliding okay, more good quarters, there's positive profits. Another year goes by, and all of a sudden, not only do sales take a nosedive, there's problems with the product, the software as well. Doesn't know what to do. But he says, I remember last time. So he opens up envelope number 2. Envelope number 2 says, reorganize. He calls a board meeting, all the other managers come in, reorganize the entire company, and sure enough, another 5-6 quarters, everything goes great. And then a third time, it really takes a severe nosedive. And he really doesn't know what to do. So he goes into his office, closes the door, closes the door, opens the drawer, there's envelope number 3. He opens it up, you know what it says? Prepare 3 envelopes. The Rebbe had a very, very different solution. He has given us an infinite supply of envelopes. Sichas, Maimorim, Heiros, discourses, speeches, lessons, instructions, all seasoned with tremendous inspiration. At this Kinus, at this gathering, this conference, we can all seize this opportunity, tap into this energy, garner these brachas, garner these blessings. We can step up for ourselves, for our families, for our community, heeding the Rebbe's call that each and every one of us in our spheres of influence needs to exert that leadership, needs to take that role. And we do so together, we'll be able to see the fulfillment of the Rebbe's vision, of Hashem's vision, for a world of Geula, a world of complete redemption. Thank you all very much.